And the next thing we will, oh, public comment. That is the next thing.
Excuse me, could you let Rob Pattinson into this meeting? Apparently he's waiting. Thank you.
Anna also seems to be present on Zoom.
Oh, she's president too.
Yeah, Rob's in.
Is Anna in?
Anna's now in, yes.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Okay. You can fight it. Okay. Do we have anyone that has public comment?
Yes. Oh, can you re-raise your hand then, Ms. Brandt?
Oh, no. He asked me to raise my hand, so I'm raising my hand.
Ms. Brandt is ready to speak.
Okay. Kathleen, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is Kathleen Brandt, Scio resident. I've been reviewing your budget and I wanted to give you some information. I'm not sure if you're aware of, the DDA has a long-standing policy to donate to Parks and Pathways. I think it's close to $100,000. And I do not see that in your budget, nor do I see it in the DDA budget. So there is a line item for contributions from DDA, but there's no values in those. And then on the flip side, DDA does not have that as an expenditure. So I would just suggest you might want to look into that 100,000, or maybe it's already in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So let's move on to the approval of the minutes. The January minutes. Has everyone seen them? Does anyone need to take a look?
I said they were in the packet. I didn't look at them. I didn't really have anything. Did anyone have anything?
No, we fine.
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
All agreed, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I don't know if Anna is been like giving a report today.
Yeah, I have a report. Are you ready for Parks report?
We can be, yes. Yes.
Okay. Great. So Eric Fryer has been hard at work at the Van Curler North parking lot. I highly recommend you do a drive-by and check it out. Rita and I checked it out about a week ago and it's changed drastically since then. It's level. You can really see it, the parking lot and what it will look like. Additionally, Eric Fryer from Fryer Forestry was able to install the picnic tables at Marshall Park, which I know has been a long awaited item. And I'm super proud and excited that those are out there. So now the pavilions at Marshall Park are covering picnic tables. So in the spring and summer, folks can have picnics out at Marshall. Both of them are accessible tables, which means there's benches that go around 3 of the sides and one of the side has no bench and has an overhang. So someone in a wheelchair could sit at the table. You'll notice under the big pavilion, the picnic table is installed maybe a little counterintuitively in in a different direction than you think it might be. And that's for accessibility reasons. So we just are excited to have an accessible park and we'll continue working on that. I know the gravel is a little large for wheelchair maneuverability, maneuvering. So something to keep in mind with Marshall Park. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I have for the parks update.
Um. Let's see. About planning, meeting for planning.
That would be riser, but we did not meet this week,
Okay,
so more on that.
Liz, land preservation.
We have been working on our budget. The board will review that at its meeting later this month. We have several applications, new applications that have come in that are in various stages of evaluation. We have two that we have recommended to the board, where those are pending board action. And we have a new flow chart that'll describe sort of the process from application until approval by the board, that I think will be really helpful in helping people understand the process, because it takes some time and to get all the parts, it'll show when the grants, when we apply for grants, and when we do site visits, et cetera. So that would be helpful. I missed this meeting in January and land preservation in January, so that is all I know of to report on for now.
Let's see. About roads.
I did not attend last meeting, but they're in the process of looking at what roads they're gonna try to do, local gravel roads improvements for this upcoming year. There is money from ARPA funds left over, 550,000. So that's what we're trying to sort out, what roads are gonna be improved and contract with Washington County Road Commission. So that's where look at that.
Okay. All right, BOT, Board of Trustees.
Two parts. The first part was in writing and it's in the packet. So click on that. I have a written copy if anybody needs it. But there was also a meeting last night, which hasn't made its way to the packet. I'll send it to Christy and Christy will get it to the packet. But in bullet point form, last night's board approved IT Director Chris Daly's request to increase the internet speed in Township Hall from 100 megabytes per second to 500 megabytes per second. The 5-year contract for the new fiber system is for $11.38 per month for 60 months, and that's $1,138, not $11. The BOT also approved a request to increase the speed of the fiber line that connects the fire station to this facility from 50 megabytes per second to 200 at a cost of $7.99 for 60 months. The board approved a newsletter editor Mary Gillis's request for $18,000 in additional funding for printing the winter 2024 and spring 2024 issues. They approved $8,900 for printing and mailing presidential primary materials to AV voters. Appointed Judy Monk to serve on the compensation committee for a term ending on June 30th, 2028. And if you'll recall, we're trying to align our appointments to that June 30th date so that we can advertise them kind of uniformly, onboard them uniformly, and it's going to take a while to get there. And this is the starting of that that you see I spoke about in the past. They appointed Tim Boggs to the DDA Authority Board for a term ending on that same date, June 30, 2028. Boggs is the president, I think owner too, of TEL Systems located on Jackson Road, and he's been associated with that company since 1998. Doesn't live in Scio, but he certainly has a business and owner in Scio for, 25 years or so. Maybe a little longer. Approved Utility Director Brandon McNeil's request to have OHM Engineering create the technical specifications and contract specs for sewer cleaning and recording services. Something Sal used to do, but stopped doing 18 or 19 or 17, 18 in that era. And the contract, will be, then there'll be a bid for the services based on the specs. And then Brandon plans on doing it like what needs it first, but over a 5-year period. They're, in addition to cleaning it, they're going to take photos of it. And then they want to also add that as a layer to our GIS mapping that we're going to be getting. They set a special meeting on March 19th at 6 p.m., an hour before the 7 p.m. meeting, to discuss fire department funding support. In light of the 2023 millages last fall that failed, but there's still the continuing need to fund the fire department. So we're going to talk about that in about a month. And then they approved Jessica Flintoff's request to hire a full-time deputy clerk at a salary somewhere between $70K and $76K. The final salary subject to review by the township manager and the HR specialist, with the scope of the duties to be determined by the clerk in collaboration with the board, township manager, and the township attorney. Jessica would like to fill the position by May or June 2024. So if you know someone who's interested in public service and working with elections and the financial records, reach out to Jessica and stay tuned to our website. Our next meeting is February 29th, a special meeting at 7 o'clock on a Thursday related to the 2024 fiscal year budget.
Great. Okay, this place-based committee. We are going to hear from Brendan. He has a proposal for us. This is going to be a work in progress. There's a few questions that he had, so we're going to try to answer those questions. And Brendan, do you want to go ahead and let us talk to us about your proposal?
Yeah, so basically for the proposal, it's just you guys getting the basic description of the project, roughly how much it's gonna cost, the logistics of it. It's not the final product, it's just what could happen. If it gets approved later, in like 3 or 4 months, I'd give you the final presentation on it, which would have the fine tuning of it. Everything would be like triple checked, and we'd know absolutely everything, so it'd be 100% right. So, but this is just the project proposal, see if it can get approved. I have a presentation for you guys on that. It's ready. Are there any questions before I start the presentation?
I have one question again. That could be, well, it might be in here, but I'm just wondering how long it could take for you to get started on the project.
As soon as I get approved, I technically could start as soon as I get done with my next presentation of the fine tuning of everything and you guys approve of it. I won't start until you guys approve that slideshow and presentation. I plan to start in July and in August and have it done by August, so.
When you're ready, go ahead.
You can go to the next slide. So in my Eagle project proposal, there's a bunch of questions that ask me, and one of them is, why do I actually want to do this project? When I was younger, I lived in Ipsy, and in Ipsy, there's a lot of old playgrounds, a lot of them from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that have deteriorated a lot. And I grew up playing on those playgrounds, and they weren't the safest. Though I still made a lot of good memories at those playgrounds. My goal is to make a playground that's safe and for other kids, and that they can make their own memories there. And it's a nice bonding experience. You can go to the next one. Basic description of this project. It's going to be a nature park that will be located at Scio Township Hall in Scio Township Hall Park, which is right outside over there. It'll have a pathway from the road into the park, be made by mulch, which will be barricaded by long logs of wood. This path will lead you to 3 circular areas. Each area is unique in its own. You can go to the next slide, which describes the 3 areas. The first area is a large sand pit.
Excuse me, we can't see the slides for remote participation.
Are they too small, Kathleen, or are they not displayed?
They're not displayed. They were initially, but now I see something that says, it looks like somebody's internet and Zoom tab. We initially had it, but it went away. That's better. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
One of the areas is a big circular sand pit, which will be surrounded by logs. The second one is just a field with wood chips and assortment of logs of different sizes and shapes for kids to play on and just run around on, have fun. And the third one is gonna be a ladder area, which right now I was unable to make a brief description of it, but I do have a drawing. I have started a Fusion 360 account, which has to get approved before I can start it. But it'd be similar to the spider web picture you have over there, just a lot smaller and more lateral-like. You can go to the next slide.
It would be basically a rope ladder.
It looks in this picture as if it's attached to trees.
Yeah. So this one would be two beams of logs that would be firmly connected to the ground, and there'd be just rope connecting the two logs in the shape of a ladder across it. So here's some images. Most of them are just current images of what the park currently looks like. That right there is a map of the general location. It has measurements from different areas in the park, and it shows a brief pathway and then 3 circular areas detailing how big the areas are. The 3 circular areas are planned to be 10 feet in diameter, pretty sure. And the pathway is supposed to be 50 feet long. So you can go to the next slide. These are some more pictures. Like I was explaining earlier, that was what I imagined the ladder system to look like. And then those are just more current pictures of the park. You can go to the next slide. Why is this helpful to you? You guys have been trying to build a play area or a playground here in Scio for 5 years, according to Ms. Rita. And this would be able to get you guys one. You can go to the next slide. It would help the community be more active in Scio Township Park as of right now. I know the Flyers currently use it, and I've seen a few dog walkers, but beyond that, I haven't seen that many people. And it would be the first play space that you guys would have in Scio Township. So you can go to the next slide. And more. So this is the project logistics. When would the actual project happen? July to August. How many people will I need? For work days, at max, I will need 20 people at a single work day. Overall, it could be a lot more than that, but it's mostly just the same people coming to work and do the project with me. Where I can get these people, my Boy Scout troop has over 40 members of adults and kids through both boys and girls. I play multiple baseball teams, which many of them have said they could help me, and so have my friends. What's the hardest part in leading these individuals is in doing anything, and when you're telling anyone what to do, they're not always going to listen. They might always do something different and see a better way to do it. And that's not something I can control, but I can do my best to supervise what they're doing and see it before it happens. As of right now, I don't need any permits or permissions from what I saw online and did research on. I do need Miss Dig to come out to the play area to see if there's any wires or plumbing in the area that I need to be aware of before I start digging. You can go to the next slide. For materials I would use screw eyes and 6x 10 foot wood. Those would be for the ladder area. Screw eyes would be screwed into the wood, which would hold the rope in place. Short logs and long thick logs. The long thick logs would be used for the walkway, and then the short ones would be used as perimeter around the circular areas. The sand would be in the sand pitch. The mulch would be the pathway, and then the geotextile fabric is in the, I'll do it layer by layer. When I'm building the 2 areas of the general play area and the ladder area, since I'm using wood chips, I have to have a firm base of 3 inches of cement, then 3 inches of gravel. Then I have to have a geotextile fabric. Then I can have the engineered wood fiber and wood wear mats in there. That's good for water irrigation, so it doesn't clog up or anything. Making sure it goes to the bottom and doesn't overflood. The engineered wood fiber is a ADA approved playground material, so kids are able to use it. If there's 9 inches of it, which I plan to have 12 inches in there, it's with able to stand a 10-foot drop from a kid for injuries purposes. Other materials I would need is concrete mix, well, wear mats, rope, and then wood preserver and wood varnish for the wood to make sure it stays good as long as possible, so you guys don't have to replace them. So supplies I would need for my actual work days would be food and snacks. That'd be an example of like pizza, chips, trail mix, and then refreshments like water, Gatorade, and lemonade. And then I will need tarps, tables, chairs, and coolers, and first aid kits on hand to hold all that stuff so it's available. You can go to the next slide. Logistics of everything. The materials will either be delivered via myself or delivered straight here when they're ordered. Supplies is similar. It's either going to be brought to myself or delivered when I order them. Tools will be brought either by myself or brought by volunteers or provided by you guys, which you guys have said that you may provide them. Helpers, the workers will either transport themselves, but if they do need a ride, I can give them one. You can go to the next slide. Tools and other needs. I'm gonna need shovels, post hole shovels, wheelbarrows, screwdrivers, rakes, handheld sanders, work gloves, safety glasses, cameras, and safety helmets. I also gonna need signs to make sure everyone knows where the things are gonna be, because Scio Township Hall Park is pretty far away from the road and it's hard to find. So I would need a sign outside on Zebra Road so they know where to turn in, and then probably a few other signs guiding it to where the parking is and then where the actual project's gonna be. I also need thank you cards from when it's all over, and I have to thank all my workers for their hard work and helping out. And then a sign in and out board so I know who comes. Safety. Safety is very important in Boy Scouts and in real life. Boy Scout rules dictate people 14 and older can use wheelbarrows, post hole shovel, and electric screwdrivers. So that means if a 13-year-old comes to my work day and they want to use the wheelbarrow, they cannot. So there's no BSA rules on concrete, though. I'm only going to allow people 16 and older to be using concrete. And if they are by themselves, then I have to have them supervised by an adult while doing it. And then for younger scouts, they can't eat or ingest any of the materials besides the food and snacks. Cost. The materials are around $12,600. Supplies is $700. Tools $260. Other needs is $25. Most of this is the wood chips. The wood chips cost a lot because they're specifically made so for playgrounds and for safety purposes. Though, other things that like logs are very hard to find online for pricing. So, though some of these, most of this can be discounted. So if I go to Home Depot or Chelsea Lumber for supplies, I can ask for a discount, which Chelsea Lumber gives around 15 to 20%, and Home Depot usually gives 10 to 15 as well, which I found most of my prices for sand, gravel, mulch, and any other wood at Home Depot or Chelsea Lumber. The engineered wood fiber is also quite hard to find. I did not find where to actually buy it. I did find a price for it, which is how I was able to find out how much it cost. The supplies, I have supplies, tools, and other needs I need to calculate just in case. So the tools, we're not gonna buy all the shovels. People are gonna bring their own shovels. So, but I have to include the cost of what it could cost if I were to buy all the shovels and that kind of stuff. And also materials can be donated or so can supplies. Can you go to the next slide? Project phases and planning. For my Eagle stuff, I need to think about all my processes and what's going to go on in kind of phases. And the first step would be prepare a project plan. My project plan is stuff I would do immediately after my proposal gets done, which is like fine tuning the measurements, figuring out where I can buy stuff, completing a more detailed drawing of my ladder area, all that, meeting with the engineer that you guys wanted me to meet with for that. Because I do want to get his info on it, make another presentation for it to you guys, and then make a sign up Genius account for when I make a work day. And then after that, I would do number two, which is present the presentation to you guys. Then I would start fundraising for supplies for the food that I would need. Then I would buy my materials, when and where they're gonna get bought and where they're gonna get delivered. I would start my project. I would finish my project. I would start reporting it and finishing it because I have to do a lot of paperwork myself after it's completed. And then I would meet with my Eagle coach, make sure everything's okay. Then I would meet with you guys to make sure everything's okay. If not, we would do whatever needs to be done to make it okay. Get your signature of approval, and then I would do my Eagle board of review and turn it in. You can go to the next slide. That's all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
The ladder, the rope ladder, so it would be lateral.
Yeah.
Horizontal. And so the base underneath is what you're talking about that you have to build in case when someone falls off.
Yeah.
Is that where the base would be?
So for it was in the email I think you sent me, there's a list of rules for playground equipment. And in that, that's how I modeled my, what goes on underneath everything. So underneath the wood chips, there's 3 inches of gravel, 3 inches of cement to make sure it stays in place. But there's a certain amount of wood chips that need to be there for in case a child falls. And right now I have 12 inches there, and over time it compresses 30%. So it will go down to 9 inches or roughly around 9 inches. And 9 inches, in case a child falls up to 10 feet, they shouldn't get injured per the rules. So the ladder system, I don't think will be 10 feet tall, so it shouldn't be an issue, but just in case.
What do you think what is the highest point of the ladder? Is the ladder going up vertically or you just said it was horizontal?
So the wood post would be vertical and then the ladder would be horizontal, so you could climb on it, kind of like a rock wall, but it's just ropes there. The tallest point of the wood, I would suspect be 6 feet tall, maybe more, something for you to climb on.
Is that something you buy, that ladder, that lattice? It looks, it's kind of like a net.
Yeah.
But is it something that you tie knots in and make, or something that you purchase that's already out there in the market?
We could, if we find one that's on the market, we could do that. If not, we would make our own, which is why that did be the case, I would like to meet with the engineer that you guys want me to meet with for that, because he has more experience in that than I do.
Have you seen this particular lateral or horizontal rope ladder work somewhere before? It seems like it'd be kind of wonky and hard to maybe kind of climb and hang on to, or no?
I've seen it at my elementary school. Granted, it was not made of actual rope, it was made of metal rope.
Oh, okay.
So it's a theoretical idea.
Okay.
And in case it can't happen, then
Okay.
it'd just be another area.
How are you gonna secure the poles in the ground and know that you've got the right depth and the right mix of whatever it is to keep the poles in the ground so they don't move while have you got that figured out?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The frost line in Ann Arbor, Michigan is 42 inches. So I need to secure the 6-foot poles underneath the ground 42 inches, and then I can encase those in cement of their own cement. So that would be below all the cement, gravel, wood chips and all that. So those would be really secure. They shouldn't move at all.
So you excavate down and then put in a 3-inch cement pad as the base and then gravel and the mat above that, is that correct?
So yeah, I would dig out a good amount of inches. I think in total it'd be around 2 feet.
So the cement pad is not at the frost line, it's somewhere
It's a bit above it, because
above the frost line. You dig that out by hand or you're planning to get an excavator?
that would be something that I have to discuss with you guys, is if we do dig out by hand, for those 2 areas, we have to dig all 2 feet of that, and then further for the frost line area, for those poles. In the sandbox, it's only gonna be 6 to 7 inches, because you don't need all the stuff there, you need the sand.
Does concrete go underneath the sandbox as well?
From what I know,
You
nothing.
just dig down dirt and put in some geotextile fabric and then put the sand on top of it, is that right?
Yeah.
That's what I've done.
The mulch path, you said is from the road to the park. Did you mean the parking lot to the park?
So from the parking lot here there's a parking lot, and then there's a road, which that road's used by the flyers.
The road, the gravel, okay.
It'd be from
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
into the area.
Gotcha. Were we talking the last time or a time before when we did our walk around somehow having actually some other kind of walking way to get from Z to walk up? Would we be connecting then? Yours would stop at the parking lot. That's what you're talking about, your mulch path, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
We
entrance
would-
would be from.
And it would be us that finds a way to connect that.
But there was an alignment that Ann and I did sort of walk along on the backside. And we also talked about a limestone rather than mulch, because limestone lasts longer than mulch. So I guess we'll work at those details. I mean, we're not building. it
Final
tomorrow.
engineering?
Yeah, we're in a very early engineering phase, so yeah.
So your wood fiber substrate too, I'm curious about that. It's obviously you found it, you know it exists and there's a reason for it, but you can't find it necessarily anywhere yet, right?
No.
That's what you're saying?
I've gotten estimates of how much fiber I need, but I don't know where to buy it exactly.
Would there be a substitute for it if you can't find it?
It'd be rubber, which wouldn't go along with the nature area. Those
It's
two
all
are the
engineered either way, right? Or no?
wood chips need to be engineered.
What does that mean to engineer wood chips?
It gets rid of any harmful chemicals. It makes it small enough so it's not harmful to anyone. It makes it so it's very even, which is why it costs so much, is because there has to be a lot of it for it to be so safe.
Have you found a supplier for these special wood chips, basically?
I have not found a supplier.
Real quick, I'm doing a project with the City of Ann Arbor. There's a contractor that does this work. He's done it all over this, like 3 or 4 projects in the city and other cities in southeast Michigan. So yeah, there's basically the mulch is like a uniform mulch. So it is ADA approved, and it's not just mulch you buy out, wherever. So it's an engineered mulch material.
What's the timber, what's the wood it's made from?
I'm not sure.
Like cedar or?
It's a-
Yeah, it's something that's gonna last.
Right.
But what they generally have done is they hire this company that brings it out, they blow it into place. And that's what they recommend, 12 inches, because it will settle out. So you just, once we sort that out, there's someone that does that in southeast Michigan. We figure out we need 2 truckloads, 1 truckload, half a truckload. They come out and just blow it into place. He said that's easiest to do it. And there's people that do that, so obviously, to figure out what that specification is for that type of mulch. But I think he's on the right track, and like I said, they're doing it in the city of Ann Arbor.
And the logs you wanna get, you need to acquire those, right?
Yes.
And so if Anna, you're on there, isn't Eric Fryer cutting down trees occasionally of different thicknesses? Of different, I don't know if they're box elder or if they're oak or if they're walnut or if they're cherry or whatever they are, but Anna, does Eric Fryer have access to log? Question mark?
Eric did recently take down a couple of walnuts from Van Curler.
And
Yeah,
And we did ask him to save the wood for us. We gave him the option of just leaving it on site. Which might have been a problem for them trying to move their equipment around. We did not see them. I think Anna made a inquiry about them, and I don't know what the status is of those trees, but they would have been perfect for what we're.
But we occasionally cut down trees as part of our park maintenance, so to the extent the heights, I don't know, are you gonna bury those as well?
Due to the weight of the logs, depending on how big I get them, they don't need to be buried at all. And if they do, I just need to bury it, so it's not all of it.
So in other words, check with Anna or check with staff about what logs we might have from one of our maintenance jobs in other parks.
And if not,
This was, Anna and I did bring this up, we talked about it, that we needed, stumps and wood. So now it's just following up with Eric to see what he did with those trees, because they're not.
And generally you want to use black walnut, black locust, or white oak. Those are logs that are gonna last. Other ones, put box elder out there, it's gonna be in 3 years, it's gonna be
Getting on the box
trash,
elder.
right?
But maybe a red oak or not?
No, they said the white oak, 3 are the ones that, this company that does these all over,
oh,
those are the 3 trees you wanna use.
Okay.
If you want them to last, which I think we want it to last, right?
And if worst case scenario, I did find online for pricing, place in Montana that does deliver across the.
we have lots of trees here.
Across the country, which sells cedar and white oak logs, 8 feet long and 6 inches in diameter. But-
Fryer might be a good source for that, because he's in that business. He's
Yeah.
a forester. I looked him up for.
Yeah, we get tree contractors all, we can just, I think, working with, it's find out, down some black oak or some walnuts like those or other ones and white
Yeah,
oaks.
lots of local wood.
Yeah, local wood available and people are, so especially they know a project like this, so okay, now's the time of year they're cutting them down, it's like, okay, we need, figure out how many logs we need.
Is it possible we have an area for salvage of things like that? We could just have him deliver it right out here. It could be sort of the central salvage wood post place for anywhere.
Like a little yard, so to speak.
Yeah,
In theory.
yeah, okay, great.
So Brandon, I have a couple questions on the layering. You're talking about the concrete and then the gravel, the wood chips. Did that idea come from our group or is that your idea?
That's online. It's in.
That's online,
It's a-
but
it's a-
you found that online?
Yeah, it's
So
in
my
a-
question is, I'm wondering about the environmental impact of this. That's one question, whether we need concrete and then the gravel in a natural play space. And maybe we do, I don't know. But and the second thing I wanted to say is there's a farm at the corner of Scio Church and Zeeb, so in the township. And it's Richard Anderson's farm. I can put you in touch with him if you want, but he has, if you ever drive by there, if any of you have driven by there, I mean, thousands and thousands of pounds of chopped down trees because people dump them there every single day. And he has a mountain of wood chips.
I think I've seen that
And
actually.
I am guessing that if it's not free to you, it will be very close to free. I'm thinking you would need a pickup and you would need to take some of your 20-person crew over there. And you would have free wood chips. They are not, engineered wood chips, but I've used them in my garden. They are really finely, you can take from different parts of the pile, but there's a ton of them over there. And they also have some massive logs that are pre-cut of different heights. So I would say that they would need to be anchored in some way, that not just stacked up, either attached to each other or anchored in some way so that some kid couldn't just knock one into the other and then fall off. But I'm just wondering, do we need an ADA approved surface?
And what I was thinking, I think one of the things I sent you was for playgrounds, and playgrounds have different regulations than play spaces.
Yes,
So this is
yes.
something that we, this is part of the works in progress where we need to actually figure out exactly what do we need. I agree. And I have a question too about these posts that are going into the ground. Don't they have to be anchored in the cement?
Yeah, that's the.
But, so they'll have to be longer than your 6 feet, of course. You
Yeah,
have to
so-
make them long enough to anchor them down. And how far down do they have? to anchor?
They have to be 42 inches.
42 inches in.
That's what the frost line is. So on,
Dig down to 42 inches so that you're below, so that the base of the post is below the frost line, so you don't get heaving. So you have to have to have a 6 foot above ground, you have to have like a 10-foot.
yeah, so on my slideshow for the materials I had 6 by 6 inches, 10 feet long. Cause I expected it cause I thought the frost line was 36 inches, so I knew it was gonna go at least 4 feet in the ground. But now that I know it's 42, it's probably better to get 11 or 12 foot poles for it.
These are details we can, because we have a lot of things to work out.
Yeah,
And another question about this ladder thing is, this is gonna be in a circular area. And so, how much of that actually had, and you may not know this yet, but how much of that has to have the proper padding? I mean, are we talking like 6 feet underneath the ladder itself? Like 6 feet wide, and wouldn't be the entire circle is what I'm asking, I guess.
Yeah, so the whole thing, in the safety, the nature play spaces and safety, page you sent me in your email, of that, it goes to a CSB or CBSC, handbook, which is like the childhood play spaces handbook. And in there is the PDF graph of the exact replica of the mold I'm making. It's the cement layer, a gravel layer, geotextile, and then your loose fill, which is the engineered wood fiber. All that would have to be over the area. The wear mats I have specifically for the ladder area, because people are gonna be on the ladder area using it more, and so the wear mats would be, you would only need the wear mats exactly where the ladder area is for extra padding. So you wouldn't need to cover the whole area with wear mats, it'd just be one specific spot.
I agree. I'm echoing Liz's comment about the concrete. I would be interested to hear from an engineer or someone who knows if there's some regulations that govern this development, whether it's necessary to have 3 inches of concrete underneath that. It sounds to me like that's if you want it to last 1,000 years, but maybe 500 years would be good.
I think he referenced a playground, natural play space. I said, the one we're doing in Ann Arbor, we put in the geotextile fabric, 12 inches of mulch, the engineered mulch, no stone, no concrete. So I guess
There you go.
that's what we need to pull back and look at all those things, you know.
That's exactly what I'm
But
talking
you do have
about.
to put that mulch everywhere. Cause then make it, if we wanna make it ADA compliant, which I'm guessing, John's not here, but I'm guessing the township will want that. How do
Well, the
you,
mulch-
yeah.
No question on the mulch.
Mhm.
It's necessary to make the ground
Right.
soft. I mean, I don't want kids to get hurt.
Right.
But the concrete doesn't add to the.
Right. But when you build a playground, a structure, that's where you need something solid. Let's say, those metal playground things,
Yeah, right.
but.
You may want so that it provides a firm base.
Firm
I
base.
understand. That's,
For the natural play spaces, generally, I don't think you do that.
it's, right.
We'll
That would
get into those
provide a real
details
firm
when we
base.
talk
It'd be
to-
like,
Companies that do this
And
as
urb-
professional agencies, right?
right. I mean, the
If
3 inches
it's
of
not
concrete
needed,
would be like.
it can always be removed. For the Eagle Scout, I could turn in this, what I currently have, and say I need X and X amount of each thing. And in the end, if I don't end up needing it, I can say,
Right.
me and my beneficiary agreed on this, the rules dictate this, so we only needed this. So if I need to remove something or even add something, as long as it's not like extraordinary large, I can do it.
I think getting rid of the concrete base really reduces the amount of work by about half. That would be a whole lot of work doing the excavating, putting down, 3 inches of concrete over.
Those big areas.
It's a few yards of concrete, and that's a lot of work and a lot of expense and a big environmental.
Concrete was. We get a lot of rain and snow, where's that water gonna go if you've got concrete, gravel? It just goes down to the concrete and just comes back up. Whereas
Yeah, maybe better
he was
off.
saying if it's a natural, then it's got a drainage system.
Well, you want to provide for drainage. I mean, you want to make sure it's not at the low spot. It's got some.
You don't wanna go back there and find ponds.
Right. And what we should probably do is go out there and dig some test holes. I'm guessing it's a sandy or gravel, but find out, because that determines, what type of drainage system you need. Let's say it is all clay, we dig and put 12 inches of mulch in this clay area.
Yeah, right.
It is
Might
gonna be
turn
12
into a
ponds,
s-
so then we will need to figure out, drain it to, that way toward, way. So that's what you dig.
There is
a
some
hole.
good drainage there because it goes
Yeah,
down,
exactly,
to
it drops
the-
off.
goes down to the
You
marsh.
could do that, but
marsh.
hopefully it's a natural sand. I just doing a project up in Dexter here on Metro Park. Right next to the river, dug down 4 feet, dry as a bone, because it's sandy gravel, a lot of these areas just drains naturally, so. This was in, after we got all that rain too, so sort of like, that's why I think we go out here and dig some test holes, make sure what kind of soils it is and is it wet, right now? And it's like, oh, it's not wet now, we're probably in pretty good shape.
That's what Skyline's been dealing with in the baseball field. Because this last year, they finally got a company to come in and level it. But part of that leveling was there was no drainage. So you could play a game, but then you couldn't play the game because you got the outfield and it's like a foot of water out there. Now they got a drainage system and yeah, you can play baseball.
I think having walked out there twice, I think we can get some good drainage.
Yeah, look, I guess it's good training, but just to do a couple test holes, you can then find out, it's like, oh.
Great.
Well, not exactly a question, but at least wanted to thank you for a very well put together presentation. Very well thought out and a lot of great information. Thank you for that. Yeah.
As far as the proposal goes, I know that John's not here, but I don't know if this is something we have to have approved by the board before we go any further with it. I would
And maybe
imagine,
even discuss.
and discuss it a little more. So I think that I think that's a good idea. I think we should probably.
The board of trustees definitely has to approve it because we have no authority to be building things on the township's
Right.
property.
Right.
And has the Scio Flyers Club been consulted about the safety issues potentially with them?
I think Anna has, maybe Anna, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I second that. The board, I think a presentation to the board would be a great logical next move. And no, I haven't chatted with the Scio Flyers yet, but it would be great to get the play space committee connected with them.
I mean, you did meet with them last fall or last year, talking about walking paths and different things. They're aware that we're gonna do some improvements out there, so I don't think it'll be completely.
That's true. I have spoken with them about safety more broadly, but they're not aware of the Eagle Scout project quite yet.
So that's something we can work on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Should we maybe see if we can meet up with the Flyers before our next meeting? Yeah.
And they're usually very easy to meet up with.
Okay.
Anna and I've met up with them before. Adam, do you think this is something we could squeeze in before your departure?
Don't say it. She's not departing.
Yeah, let's prioritize that.
Look them out. Okay, so we'll work on that.
Yeah. Good.
And then maybe this committee should put together a proposal to the board. And then have a time when Brandon can come back and present it to the board with the committee's, approval.
Recommendations.
Yeah,
Yeah, we make
recommendations, right.
recommendations.
We can make a recommendation to the board. But again, get the information from the Flyers, get a little bit more engineering information, put it together, and
Yeah, I'd
then.
be interested on the engineering to follow up on your comments and Liz's comments. Do we need the super duper wood chips, regular wood chips are free?
But do they work for
Yeah.
stopping falls from becoming?
I think you do need to engineer
Yeah.
wood chips.
Okay.
The mulch path would be great for that,
Yeah.
right? But the fall
Okay,
space,
so
yeah.
yeah, so exactly, so we have the
Yeah.
path with the cheap wood
Mhm.
chips and
Yeah.
have the gold platinum super
Right.
duper ones.
There you go, golden
So-
planet, that's what you want.
The made wood chips, whatever,
Engineered.
manufactured, do they look like wood chips?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they look exactly like.
Are they were not synthetic?
They're wood, but they're round, so there's like uniformity, so you get the sponge.
Yeah,
Versus-
They're not, they
behavior.
don't blow away in the wind?
No,
And do they don't decompose?
well, you're gonna decompose the wood.
Yeah, but they're
I
engineered.
think,
Then you're supposed to, bring fresh wood chips every 5-7 years, whatever the number is.
Okay.
I think the idea is that, yeah, that they're uniform, clean, I've chipped some wood, but you get all sorts of
Yeah.
dirt and, bark and stuff like that, bugs and it's kind of, it's
So
good,
this
it's
is a
good for a
nature play
path.
space and
Yeah.
things are gonna happen.
That's where I'm
So
coming from.
there's gonna be,
I mean, if the township says no, if their attorney says no, just put in whatever. But I'm guessing, if it's a standard out there and other parks are doing it,
There's
it's gonna be a
probably
tough
some-
sell to tell a township to do a non-standard
we have to be in a gray zone, because if we're not a playground, but we're a play space, we're kind of, yes, we're a play space, but we're creating possibilities for, you know, things can happen. So we're sort of a playground and we're sort of not. I think everywhere we can use natural, we should do it. But obviously, if there's an ADA or a safety reason we can't, well, we shouldn't. You know, we should use the proper material, you know.
That was my thinking of, those are the two available options, is either the rubber things that are at most of the schools now, because they're long lasting and safe, or the engineered wood chips, and the engineered wood chips would fit the nature area, they'd also fit the safety rules.
And if I'm the township attorney would probably appreciate that too. It'd
Yeah,
be easier
of
to
course.
defend rather than something that's not engineered.
Well,
The less
probably,
opportunities that we give people to sue us for some mishap, that's better.
probably the planning consultants would, you know, I'm not trying to dismiss the idea of attorneys designing playgrounds, but the planning consultants might have some idea about standards. I don't have any idea. about
Right, yeah, I mean, that's where there is,
If there's a-
they've developed these standards over time and.
Yeah, if there's a standard, you know, if there's a law, I'm willing to consider following the law.
Or really, it's a recommendation. I don't know if the law is more a recommendation.
And Brendan, one of the things that you asked in your email was about the contact that you should be.
Yeah, currently for the contact information, I have Anna's. And from what I'm hearing, is she gonna be here for a long time?
That she's
Okay,
leaving, she's
we don't-
leaving next month.
And so this is Chris Chang, and he's our project manager for the township. And he's going to be kind of overseeing some of the things. So he is the main contact that you will have, and I will send you my information in the email. And formally introduce you to, if that's okay.
Well, now you have his email anyways, right? Email PowerPoint to you.
Actually, emailed it to Chris Bailey, so I don't know that.
Okay, I will.
We'll exchange, we'll get it, yeah.
Okay,
And I would say you should probably get your information because you seem to
Well, mine.
be knowledgeable on.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to help you out.
I have, I think, all your information except Mr. Patrick, because you weren't at the meeting I was at. So I'll get yours and I'll get Craig's. And here's Mr. Reiser. Saying that, apart from the new information for my actual proposal, until like the proposal I put in gets approved, which the next approval date is next month. I think it's like a week before your guys' meeting. If that doesn't get approved or I even do it, I can't actually start working on the fine tuning of everything.
you need it as soon as we can do it, please.
So you need to get approval from your scout troop, you're saying?
I need to get approval from BSA
That's after our approval or before our approval?
after the approval of the proposal.
We should have a motion that this committee approves it. Recommend it to the board, is that right?
Not to me.
I'm ready.
Are we?
First time, so nobody knows what to do.
Is Anna still there?
Yes, Anna's here.
What's the dollar amount gonna be? Because Scio Township has, I'm sorry?
12.6. Possibly. If real concrete, maybe 10.6 or.
Okay, but something, it's not something small enough that a department head can authorize up under our procurement policy, which is posted online. So it's something that needs to go to the board. And we make the recommended. Anna, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I just kind of unmuted when you said my name, but we do have this project budgeted in the 2024-25 fiscal budget. But ultimately, even if it was under 5,000, I do think it should go to the board and be a discussion item.
And Anna, do you remember about how much we set aside for this in the budget?
Yeah, we have 20,000 budgeted for this project, and that was a guesstimate to also include engineering. if we had OHM or someone else look over the plans.
So Anna, to accept his proposal today, do you have reservations of this committee doing that, or should we hold off?
Maybe I'm curious what you all think, but maybe if the motion, maybe someone just said this, but said, yeah, accepting the proposal with the caveat that we're going to the board next and it's solely so that Brandon can move forward.
It seems like if we accept a proposal, it's not like we're gonna build this tomorrow. It's like step one in his process, his proposal. He's gonna continue to refine his proposal, refine the project. Because really we're accepting the proposal, or I guess really not accepting the
concept,
project, yeah,
really.
the concept, right?
Yeah.
We're not really, because we haven't
We're
finalized.
not signing a
so-
contract, we're just.
Well, the concept though was in the PowerPoint, right? And the concept had some elements that we had questions about. That's my question.
But I think we were also agreeing that we could remove certain things like the concrete. It would be my guess if what you were saying before is there are things that can move around as long as they're, I don't know if you use the word extreme, but huge, big
Yeah.
thing. So if we took the concrete out, I think we should. And I-
Maybe there are other.
So can it can be approved, and then if you want to remove something.
Right, I think that.
I've got a sample motion when people are ready to start
Yeah.
voting and talking.
Right.
Okay, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Oh, I was, same thing, like, I feel like that would, to Anna's point, like, we can approve the proposal, with the ability to revise,
I guess
period.
Details to be determined.
So what is your?
I was going to move that the PPP committee recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the concept and design submitted by Eagle Scout Brandon Brulette and funded, subject to review by the township's PPP director, comma, township engineering firm, comma, township manager, and township attorney. That's what I was thinking about a motion, something along those
So what
lines.
are we approving then,
Well,
John? I don't
we're
quite understand.
we're approving in concept this plan,
In concept.
in concept, it's gotta be approved by.
So I get that. Now we're sending to the board a concept that is really kind of conceptual.
Well, is time of the essence or no?
I don't know. Can we wait another month or not?
I think it messes up Brandon's schedule.
Does it?
I think that's.
Like,
Is that what I'm hearing?
It mostly depends on how much work I would have to do preparing for it.
Like, if this cake's not ready to be baked yet, I don't mind holding off. But I was, to the extent that there's a plan, designs, drawings, but we gotta have legal look at it, like, if that's not safe, or we can't do that, we're gonna put concrete there, whatever, or we gotta have engineering saying, oh, that's not gonna, you can't have kids climb up a rope or whatever, so, or we gotta have Anna weigh in on it, and Joyce's, but I mean,
Initially, the idea and the plan for it is being okayed so that it can be moved forward.
and I'm willing to do that because it's not gonna go on the 29th. Because that's the special meeting for the budget. So it's not gonna be until March 1 anyway. So if we're not ready for that, we're not ready for that.
If we do pass that motion and send it to the board, well, then the March, whatever you said, Brandon will present what he presented to us.
Well, he's gonna probably have to work with, probably submit the plans, and maybe he'll do that. And Chris is here and Anna are both here on this call. Would you recommend that as much of the detail get to you so that it can be reviewed by anybody within the township that needs to do it, primarily for safety and that type of thing? Chris and Anna, do you have any thoughts in that regard?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan, Chris. I don't want to speak for you, but having anything go through, also going through the play space committee could be a great resource.
Yeah, but I'm more,
If we can do the play space committee, we're not ready to send it to the.
right, so who's all on the play space committee? Everyone who's here.
Oh.
So,
Well,
oh,
yeah,
there's no external parties to that.
But yeah,
And I'm not trying to rush it. And if it needs to wait, like slow your roll, Riser, we're not there yet. I'm okay with that. To the extent, but I want it to be reviewed for the things that, you know, might be engineering, for safety, what's that?
Real quick.
Yeah.
This proposal is not the final product. It's nothing like that at all.
He
This
just
is
needs
something-
your okay so that he
Going
can
up
send it
the
in
wrong way.
PSA for them.
Yeah.
this is like
I
the
think we're trying-
concept, approving the
Yeah.
concept.
Well, we can approve a concept,
Right, I
but that doesn't mean the board's gonna approve it.
I think it's helpful for us to communicate to the board that, hey,
This is
we like this idea of a playground here. Do you want a playground in Township Park? They might say, never. I don't know what they're gonna say.
Sure, but I think for just for the purposes of Brandon's like schedule, that, you know, maybe just sort of simplifying that motion and just moving to accept his presentation for the purposes of being presented to his troop.
Now that is, I think
Before he
that's-
can do anything with you guys, he has to have PSA approve it. He
Basically,
needs your okay to go forward with it.
So would he, if he had this committee's approval, would he need the Board of Trustees approval?
I just need my beneficiaries approval. And right now, the representative's approval, which would be Anna technically. And if I got Anna's approval, that'd mean I got my beneficiary's approval.
But Anna can't approve it. The board has to approve it. That's what I'm telling you.
Well,
And I'm
like-
trying to help you out, son.
I guess I'm agreeing with Heather, it seems like we're trying to approve the concept, we're gonna get into the details, or we may not get into the details if the board shoots down the concept, it seems like we gotta start this thing, and I just know how the wheels of government.
Well, I didn't
If we
make
delay
a
it this month, and then we're gonna delay it to next month, and it's gonna take at least a month or two before it gets to the township. And then next week, we know it's June or July, and we still haven't even got into the engineering details, just.
We know we're concerned about safety. We know we're concerned about the environment. We know we have those main concerns. There's maybe some others, John, that you were mentioning in your motion there. But as long as we still hold the keys to, we're gonna make the final decisions on concrete, no concrete, height, rope, not rope, just low, high. I mean, we still have the final say on those things. What would be the reason we couldn't help Brandon by saying, we agree to the concept so that we can move forward and we don't continue to get delayed as you're also concerned about? I mean, do we?
Yeah, if you guys say yes, then he can go to BSA and get the proposal.
Yeah.
And we can still keep on going and fine tuning everything.
Because I'm sort of agreeing on the concept of natural play space, which I think we sort of
Right, and
got our arms around last meeting.
right, and I think if we in the wording, we are approving his presentation. We're not approving the plans, right?
With details subject to change.
Right, we need it, right, exactly.
I mean,
So- And
So our-
specifically for the
Yeah.
purposes of him being able to move forward, presenting it to the.
So that's what our motion needs to say. So can we be general?
Oh, I have another one, but I don't mind
Okay,
waiting.
I'll read mine and then you read yours.
What's that?
I'll read mine and you read yours.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I don't have.
Mine is, PPP recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the concept of a natural play space in Township Hall Park, subject to review and finalization by the attorneys, the engineers, and the play space committee.
Yeah.
Something like
And
that.
ultimately the board.
The board.
Because
Well,
that-
and then, yeah, it would go to the board. Yes. Well, we're asking that the board.
I think that's very important, especially the last part about the committee, because the engineering and the safety is one thing, but they're not gonna talk about regular wood versus engineered. We're gonna be the ones to try to save as much environmental
I know.
pieces of that as, yeah, so
Great.
that's a good point, yeah.
Okay, John, what was yours?
I was just going to move that the PPP support the concept outlined in Brandon Broulette's February 14th, 2024 Eagle proposal.
Well, that includes the.
I was just gonna leave it general, cause it sounds like that's all he needs to go to BSNA.
Right.
It's the concept.
Right.
I think there should be some note about the ADA compliance too. I don't know how we make sure that that
Well,
adheres to everything.
I don't think we need to mention that because, it will be subject to all laws, including ADA as federal law.
And that's where I
It
think
doesn't
Liz
have to be
is,
my wording, I just wanna,
right,
I just want, what does he need so he can move forward on his end?
but I think Liz's does both at the same
Okay.
time.
Did you
But-
hear what I read? Does that work for you if we were to say something like, BPP recommends that the board approve the concept of a natural play space in Township Hall Park, subject to review and,
Maybe you could say presented by.
It's presented by.
presented by
Yeah.
Brandon Roulette.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Can we do that? I just want to make sure we don't reference the specifics that are in the presentation until we.
I would just need to know
Exactly.
when I have to give the presentation.
Yeah.
Beginning of years, you said, say yours again, can you, John?
I move that the PPP support the concept outlined in Brandon Brulette's Eagle proposal. But it.
Can we just say outlined by Brandon Roulette
Sure,
for natural play
it
space?
doesn't have to be mindless.
I'm just saying, I just want to make sure we don't reference the PowerPoint yet. You see, the specifics in the PowerPoint yet, and it was proposal. That's what we're.
And you're not saying it has to go to the board at this point.
No, we're just gonna say we like it, and he's gonna say, hey,
That's right.
he likes it, Boy Scouts of America. And then they'll say, oh, that's great, what does that mean? Well, nothing until the board likes it, but that's, he's trying to get.
Gets the ball rolling, keeps the ball rolling.
Right. He can represent that a committee at Scio Township endorses it or that likes it, the idea, but it has to still go to the board, and there still needs to be more work finalizing the details.
But he just needs.
We're not there.
The idea is approved, so you can take it to BSA and say, yeah, they approved it.
Good.
Okay, so it's okay if we
Well-
approve it, not the board yet. Is that okay? Do you think?
And then he
I
can
don't
come
know
back.
that are we approving it or supporting it?
Oh, we're recommending it. That's what
Yeah,
Yeah.
What would
I
the
thought we had to
consequences be
recommend.
for you if it does not happen after our?
Well, if the board dislikes it and they don't give like any suggestions for anything, then I might not be able to work with you guys. So I would have.
There's a couple of steps, obviously, the budget has to be approved too,
Yeah,
that's
right,
happening
right,
in
right.
29. So there's a bunch of things, I mean, the board may shut down and say we don't want to spend any money on it. To be another hurdle. I guess I would think, we just get, this committee's arms around this first step. The budget's gonna come out on the 29th.
I think to a person, we all support this project, this plan, this idea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but we also know that we don't sign the checks and that the board will have to do that. And because of its novelty, they're gonna have to run it through the people who look into the safety aspects, whether that's our engineer, whether that's our planner, whether that's council, whoever. But we're not there yet. This is not even the preliminary site plan, like in the planning commission parlance, but it's. So,
Okay, what about this? The PPP committee supports the concept outlined in Brendan Roulette's presentation on February 14th, 2024, with future amendments to be determined. This motion is specifically for the purpose of presenting his concept to the Eagle Scout Committee, his Eagle Scout Committee.
Does that work for you?
that sounds good. And instead of amendments, would we say future details?
Sure.
Because
And can we approve we can do that? PPP can approve a concept just for Brandon purposes.
I think so.
we all know that we're not, we all know. Yeah.
And so,
Thank you, Heather.
so Brendan, at some point, when we do take this to the board for approval, and we'll probably want you to do your PowerPoint or, and after hearing these conversations, I don't know if you can somehow incorporate some of these comments into your PowerPoint to, let the board know that you're aware that some of these things may be amended somehow or whatever you want to call it.
I'm completely open to any changes and aspects that need to be changed. Cause before I even started, I knew that if I came up with something, you guys had to approve it. And if you didn't approve it, I would have to change it, or I'd have to find someone else to help me change it.
Well, just right off the top of my head, this reminds me of some projects from my previous employer, and I'm probably not as concerned with safety issues in the sense that I recall when the skate park was being constructed at Vets Park, bringing up issues of safety, how are you gonna ensure somebody gets hurt? And the parks director, I recall saying, you assume liability when you enter a parks, whether it's a narrow bicycle trail, trees that are real tight that you could run into, when you get on a skateboard and go down a path, you're just as likely also to turn your ankle rounding first base at one of our softball fields. And as far as, and maybe Riser can, correct me on this, I believe the director said, and we've had people try to file insurance claims or lawsuits and that nobody's ever won. When you go into a parks, you're assuming some responsibility that, yes, you could get hurt. So I'm not nearly as concerned, I think, whether it's cement or safety issues. I think you're taking responsibility when you enter a public park. So that's my thought. I don't know how it works in the township, how they would feel about it, but I'm not nearly as concerned, I think, with, with a park being added, right here in the township.
And since this isn't calling it a nature play space, I think it's expected that we're gonna try to keep it as natural as we can. So, so we will not bring this to the board.
I'll report it to the board. I'll report it on
Okay.
February
But
29th.
John, is it possible that somehow on the back end of Heather's well-put proposal that the board, does the language we use right now to present it to the board constrain us in any way moving forward with talking to the board about it? Like, oh, well, you didn't say that,
No,
you
no,
didn't
no.
say that, you didn't say that.
I think, no, I'm going to have Heather read it again, so we kind of know what we're voting on.
I think it's because specifically for the purposes of presenting to his equal. True. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Is it a troop committee?
BSA,
Yes.
does that stand for Boy Scouts of America?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically it goes to like an Eagle committee and they decide whether they approve the project or not.
So, John, do you think that when you're gonna report it to the board on the 29th, which is gonna be, a pretty heavy lift day, they're not gonna wanna look at that proposal. Is this something that he will need to present to them?
No,
Okay.
no, you shouldn't present at a budget meeting, no.
No,
Executive time.
no. But will it be something in the future, that he will probably present to them?
Probably.
Probably in March or April, I would imagine.
When more details are, when he's got some drawings, scale drawings, things like that. More details have been filled in.
And we can investigate some of these things maybe between now and then.
Yeah, we fill in all the holes, we work with them and then
Right.
come up with a plan and.
It's gonna go from a PowerPoint to a plan.
So they may not see this PowerPoint so much that he just showed us. They may see his plan, is what you're thinking.
No, I'm not thinking that.
Okay.
No, because a PowerPoint will be helpful, but at some point, it goes from the idea, the concept, to where do you put your stakes? How deep you dig your holes? What do you put inside it?
Okay.
So Heather, you want to read that one more time?
Sure, I'll go take it one step further. I move that the PPP committee supports the concept outlined in Brandon Roulette's presentation on February 14th, 2024, with future details to be determined. This motion is specifically for the purposes of presenting to BSA.
Okay, so how about just one last quick
Okay,
thing?
sorry.
Should we mention that it's a natural play space that we're talking about? Does that help?
Isn't it in there?
No, I didn't hear it.
I just said the concept outlined,
Yeah.
or presented to us.
Oh, we always said it is a neutral place.
Okay, fine. I didn't know if that would help.
Concept for a natural play space?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Concept for a natural play
yeah, yeah.
play space?
I think saying natural play space just helps.
Just say.
Confirm. Yeah.
Just-
Right.
That's all the time I have today.
Yeah.
So the next thing that will happen is you report it to the POT.
At some point, if that's a motion, it'll need a second.
I second.
Yeah, do I go in?
And at some point, we'll vote on that.
I accept your amendment.
Okay, I'll second that.
Should we
All in
vote?
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion passes.
Motion passes.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Brandon.
Very well done.
So Brendan, just real quick, so you're gonna be able to go back to your Boy Scouts of America and what, show them this?
Yeah, once I exchange information with Mr. Patrick and Greg, and then get his signature of approval. I can go to my troop, get their signatures, and then it will go to the Eagle Board, and if they sign off on it, then I can start working on the fine tuning.
So Anna or Chris, does he need to know what do you need it in writing what we passed, or will your representation to them work?
I think you guys are representation.
That you say, you'll tell them what we did, you don't need to see it in writing. Okay,
I mean, I can show them the YouTube video of the whole recording. That's how I figured out the budget from last month, so.
So, before you start buying materials though, I think,
Yeah, that's how. That's how.
Not even there.
That's way months.
concept,
Yeah.
concept.
He's
but I mean-
still gotta get like 2 or 3 approvals from Boy Scouts of America before even bring it back to you guys.
And just so you know, this isn't the body that's gonna ultimately say yes.
Yeah.
This isn't the body that's ultimately gonna cut you a check.
Yeah.
That would be the board.
it would be good to have a meeting, like a committee meeting, and I mean, and written somewhere. So Steve, Liz, and I don't know if Roy's kind of like a really helpful guy in this.
I'm willing to help out, yeah.
Yeah.
If
So
I'm
we-
unofficially on the committee or not, I don't know.
We have a subcommittee, and so, the 4 of us, I think, it might be nice if we kind of meet with you in, before we meet again as a board, before the board meets again.
Yep.
In March.
And we also should probably talk to the Flyers as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did we ever have any input from Mr. Allen, who's
yeah.
the
Right.
playground?
That is something I would like to do.
Oh, yeah, it was Alan I wanted to talk about the ladder.
Do you have his contact information?
I think so, actually.
It was gonna maybe quite valuable.
Right. If you, Alan, if you don't have it, please let me know, because I'm gonna make sure that you have. You can just drop me an email, and I'll make sure that you have. I may introduce you two formally too. How's that? Just like I'm doing with Chris. I'll just send both of you an email so we have each other's contact.
And I put a bullet, just FYI, I put a bullet point, all of these things that we brought up in the minutes, so we can, then we can
Yeah.
go back and
Excellent.
keep the conversations going and remember what we have and
I
have
answer like one word here and there.
talked
That's
about.
right.
Hopefully I got everything.
Thank you. Okay. And we can send those to you. Maybe we can send.
Sure.
Great. Sorry.
Sound all the time, right?
Okay, Brendan, well, thank you. You are welcome to stay and you are.
No, I'll stay and
Okay.
wait until you guys get done, and I'll get your guys' information.
This will be kind of quick. I passed, out to hopefully you have it on this table. Liz, I doesn't have it. So one day in January when it was totally snowy and gross outside, I just started, thinking about ideas for Scio outside. This is something that Anna and I kind of started last year and I know that if we don't think about it at all, nothing will happen. And I'm not sure how much will get to happen anyway this year, but anyway, I handed out, this is from my Google Docs. And I didn't put this online because I'm not sure exactly how that needs to happen or if it does. But these are really just sort of me brainstorming ideas about what we might consider this year, next year, or never, for Scio outside. And Scio outside, is kind of, we started as sort of a stewardship way of trying to bring in volunteers to help us. the second one that says real focus is that Silos Outside really needs a volunteer coordinator. And I would really like for that not be me. But Anna does have a pretty good list. She has a list of addresses that she does send out information to when we are going to do a Scio Outside, and it is on the website, so anyone can access it. There is a waiver that if someone wants to volunteer with us, they need to sign, a waiver. We need information from them too, in case they get injured. So, but anyway, this is just something, I'm not even gonna go over it that much. It's just literally something that I just thought it would be fun to share. And if anybody's interested in having a link to this, let me know, because it's on Google Docs, you can add to it. And that's not a problem, as long as you have the link. So if you're interested, just let me know.
Yeah.
And or if everyone just wants it, I don't mind sharing it.
Send it to me.
So that would be
So,
someone in addition to the parks director, right? You're talking about a volunteer coordinator,
oh, yeah,
and this is separate from the new parks director.
yeah, and we're assuming that that's a volunteer position.
Should say the volunteer position. That is a full-time
And
job.
it's for someone who's pretty techie and, it's probably not that big of a deal, but I've seen some of the things that Anna does with it and it's like, yeah, yeah, I could if I put on my thinking hat. I'm just would like
Yeah,
to
but
not
Anna's
box
also,
myself
like,
into too many.
Otherworldly.
But this is great. I appreciate you spending time. But
Yeah.
I would say, if you wouldn't mind just sending it to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita.
And literally, you can go in, you can edit it. If you have the link, you can just, and we can make it as long as we want. This is just something so that we can start planting seeds and
Yeah,
think about
I think
it.
it's a great idea.
And I think it'll,
Yeah.
So when that new director comes, hey, there's a 22 items. We gotta give it 6 months.
so, but, and I,
Besides the stuff that the township's putting in.
Yeah, right.
so, and I'm happy to help out a lot with this because I feel strongly about the community stewardship element and just getting people into our parks. So that's all.
Great ideas.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think this is the last piece. Oh, public comment.
No.
Parks Director.
Parks Director update.
Oh,
Parks Director
yeah,
might be so important.
Oh, that is important. So, Anna, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, sure. I should have mentioned earlier, I'm under the weather, so I'm joining via Zoom. Yeah. So I'll speak to the Scio Outside thing briefly. Can I share my screen? It looks like I can. Can you see this Scio Outside?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So on our website, there's a Scio Outside page. It has all of the events we've ever held. If someone is curious about being that volunteer coordinator, you could peruse what those events entailed, read a bit about them and what we did that day. And there's also, yes, a sign up. You can sign up for the listserv and you fill out an attorney approved consent form, and then that email address and any important allergies, emergency contact all ends up on an Excel sheet through our kind of like I think it's called Granicus. It's like the township's back end of the website, and you can download that info and just have it in your pocket on Scio Outside days. So it's pretty fun. I think whoever wants to get involved, you can kind of pick how involved you want to be, as long as you have that form for safety and some water bottles for safety. It's been fun. Every event has been very fun. Thanks, Rita, for doing all that brainstorming. We've already talked about it a bit, but I just did want to take a moment to say, because I know I've spoken about this with PPP committee, but not necessarily with the public and residents, that I did resign, and that will be effective March 1st. And yeah, I won't get too sappy, but the past year and a half has been an incredible opportunity, and I'm very grateful for everything the Parks Committee did up until I joined and has continued to do. And yeah, I'm super proud of everything that we've gotten done together, and I'm excited to see all of these initiatives continue to thrive. I've been in conversation with Rita and Roy and Chris. Thank you, Chris, for being there today. And Joyce and Brandon, Utilities Director, about next steps moving forward, especially this interim plan before there is the next Parks Director in that position. So I won't get too into the nitty-gritty, but I will say that we've been meeting and we'll continue to meet that group I just mentioned to make sure that we have an interim plan that is solid. But essentially, if I were to boil it down, what we have right now is Chris is taking over the admin portion of my role. So that includes, for example, being the staff person at these meetings, aiding in the interview process for summer staff and interns. Additionally, project management, obviously, is his role. And then we've also assigned Brandon in the utilities department with any of the maintenance items that I have been in charge of up to this point. So if trees fall, utilities will go out and clear the trails. Utilities will also be emptying trash at all of the parks. And then, also zebra pathway, utilities will be clearing the zebra pathway of debris. And then Joyce has kind of decided that, Scio outside and the interview process for summer staff, she would like that to be held between the PPP committee and Chris. So Chris will kind of be that staff person support, but Scio outside especially, and I'm very grateful for this because I'm very proud of that program, will be kind of ushered along by the PPP committee with Chris's support. Until there's a director in place to shoulder more of that. So thank you all for keeping that going. And I know those initiatives were here before I was here, and it's a great way to get the community involved with the properties. There will be more detail to this, and I'm making very organized, great folders that have all of my files, all of the information about every single park, and that will be accessible to the PPP committee. And yeah, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Anna. We have really appreciated having you on board. So
Oh, yeah.
it's so hard to even talk about, and I feel like I'm gonna start stuttering every time I try to spit those words out. So
Is this her last meeting? Sadly?
Yes.
yeah.
No party? We're gonna have a party.
This one hurts, Anna. We're gonna miss you. We wish you the best.
Yeah.
We know that you're gonna be taking a job that gets you more in the field and rather than behind a computer and doing what you love to do and doing what you were trained to do with all your degrees. So, but you were just a great person going out there in the field, seeing you work with your interns, seeing you know what this plant is, that log is, the significance, this body of water, all this stuff. You just a wealth of knowledge. And as knowledgeable as you are, your personality is even better. We appreciate your liaising with us to the board. You sometimes would come to the LPC because of the intersection between the two committees. You would come to the Board of Trustees. You spent long hours in this hall and on Zoom helping us out, and your word meant a lot around Township Hall. Your reputation precedes you, and OHM is really lucky to have you, and we're really going to miss you. So on behalf of the board, on behalf of this committee, on behalf of the LPC, thank you for your work, and we wish you every success in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well said.
May I just add to that,
Yeah.
it's been really, she has done so much outreach in the community. And I thank you for that. So
Absolutely.
you have
Yeah.
made so many contacts
Right.
that have smoothed the way for all kinds of projects that we have going on. And I hope that whoever takes your spot, which is gonna be awfully hard to fill, can continue those relationships, because that's really important for what we do.
I second those sentiments
Absolutely.
also.
Yeah.
Choose to fill, but we thank you very much for all your service. Obviously, we'll be working together closely as we the transition during the next number of weeks, but thank you. Yeah, you've done an outstanding job, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second that.
Absolutely.
Another thing I want to say about Anna is that she stepped into, the township, and it can be a bit heated at times and theatrical. Those are the best way I can put that, but Anna has a way of de-escalating things and hearing people. And that is a gift that many of us don't always keep in our pocket. So I really, really appreciate those, well said, that's
Yeah.
part of Anna, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you all so much. That was so sweet, and that really means a lot. I've mentioned this, I'll keep saying this to everyone, that I'm very available. I know, as Rita mentioned, when I came in, there was a lot of institutional knowledge that I was like trying to find. And so I'm an open book. If anyone needs to call and ask, like, where is that file, or what did we do with this? Please reach out. And I let Joyce know that I'm really happy to meet with the next parks director to pass on that info. So yeah, please call me if you need to.
okay. Thanks, Anna. We
Thank
may
you.
pick up on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, public comment, right? Okay, here we go again. So if there's anyone that would like to indulge in public comment, we're all yours.
Yep, we got Rob Pattinson.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Brandt.
Okay. All right, Kathleen.
Hi, folks. I just wanted to let you know that I can donate some white oak. It's just a matter of getting it from here to there and maybe a chainsaw, but I've got white oak available. And I'll also add my thanks to Anna Cohn. I really appreciate getting this program off and running. But I will also say that for Rita, you've pulled it together as well, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
And finally, we also have Pam Boyd.
Thank you, Peter Boyd. And I've got my 7-month-old grandson screaming behind me because I've been blowing bubbles, keeping him entertained. Anna, you broke new ground here, pun intended. And we will be forever grateful for all that you did and what you brought, and your first year as an intern, and the Herons, all of the above. I've looked at the website of where you're going, and I can see what draws you just from the pictures. Just being in various outdoor activities. It just sounds like a really exciting job, and I'm very excited for you, and we will miss you. So thank you for everything that you've done. Also, the Eagle Scout presentation was really fantastic, and I hope that it can go through. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Anna, thank you for introducing me to Scio and being so warm and friendly, and even offering the opportunity to work with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the kind words.
Your hands are raised.
Motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
So.
I can second that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All in favor?
Thank you. Oh.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
But
Did you second?